Hey guys, this is Designated Inquirer in number 1 and 2. Howdy. I'm coming. I'm gonna go sit right next to him, so just give me a second, guys. I'll be right there. I will not be able to address comments and stuff, but maybe we can find a way. Let's see if we can find a way.
Are we streaming?
Yeah, we're streaming right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Hey guys.
We're doing it live.
Comment down below, guys. Comment down below.
Like, subscribe. What you guys are watching right now behind us over here is just a bunch of SpaceX launches. So yeah.
Click that bell. Click that bell.
Alright, if you guys do want to speak to us, I am going to have the Facebook app, I think. Facebook app, yeah, I'll have it open. I'll have that open, so I'll be able to see if anybody types us any questions. So, but this is streaming to Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, and Facebook all at the same time. So,
God damn.
So, if you guys do have any questions for us, for whatever reason, you let us know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this. Let me share this baby to my other peeps. Y'all.
Nervous time.
It's chill, dude. It's totally chill. This is what the internet's for. Make us nervous and embarrassed and stuff. It's fine.
God damn. It's doing its job.
Okay. I'm gonna posting. Alright, guys.
Streaming to the whole world, man.
Whole worldy.
That looks dope.
Alright, cool. So here we go, guys. So we're here to discuss why the hell SpaceX, Elon Musk, etc., all the same entity, chose stainless steel for their exterior cover. At least that's part of it. This podcast series or whatever is going to cover science and technology, aerospace, mathematics, weird shit, black holes, relativity, video games, nerddom, whatever the hell we feel like. Jokes.
News.
And maybe sometimes politics if we feel like it, but on a separate, we'll do a separate channel for that stuff. But so what I've heard today from trying to synthesize available information that I could gather is even though the materials for stainless steel might be dramatically heavier than what a carbon composite is made out of, which is basically resin and linear graphite, its benefits outweigh the cons of specifically just weight. And as far as the strength, as far as tensile strength, from being under pressure, and also compressive strength from the outside.
The ram pressure.
Yeah, the ram pressure, because this guy is literally a rocket scientist right here. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, compared to me, he's a rocket scientist. Because tell him what are your experiences.
Yeah. So I'm formally trained in chemical engineering. But I've been with this group for a long time, launching rockets out in the Mojave. We launched large 15-foot liquid bipropellant rockets out in the Mojave Desert. We just did a launch like a week ago. It was successful, so it was good. Parachute didn't deploy, which was sad. So technically a failed mission, but we learned a lot.
Exactly.
We recuperated a lot of good data. So we're continuing to.
So when people ask,
I'm in charge of the electronics, by the way. So I just want to,
So when people ask, like as far as government spending, etc. or whatnot, like, what if something explodes? Like, don't you feel bad that all that money went to waste? It's like, kind of, but all at the same time, there is so much to learn when something goes very, very wrong. There's probably more things to learn when something goes very, very wrong. Because if nothing went wrong, then we know everything there is to know, and there's actually less incentive to spend because there's less to learn.
You know what we care more about than these rockets? Knowledge.
For our hearts.
Ty Lopez the God.
There you go.
He said it first.
So, all right. So that's his background.
Yeah.
He's also my brother, and I studied mechanical engineering. Whether or not I finished my degree is a minor thing, but it was basically I studied graduate level mechanical engineering. I got way past the point where I basically had the credits. I was just shy of a few points for the GPA. But that's nor here nor there. But that's who I am. So together, we're a pretty decent little powerhouse of okay level of knowledge, but nothing compared to industry experts, etc. Whatnot. So these opinions you gotta take with a grain of salt.
For sure, enough to do research.
Yeah. So
on a weekly basis.
Yeah. So we can like kind of like suppose things from the images you're watching right there. Like we can kind of have an educated guess as to what the hell's going on. So again, from what we've been able to decipher, as far as some of the benefits that include from the stainless steel exterior, apart from having similar traits as far as strength in both tensile and compression, because both of those things are important for materials engineering. Apart from that is the ability to diffuse heat. So what that means is basically as a material is radiated with heat and or conducts heat, its ability to get rid of it over time and how fast it does it, it's its ability to diffuse or radiate heat. So one thing is for it to be able to receive, and another thing is for it to let it go. And steel and other metals are really good at letting it go, or basically letting heat and energy flow through it, not necessarily capture it. Right now, what we had, or previously what we had on the space shuttle, and on like the Soyuz, and even the Dragon capsules, on the bottom of it is basically a layer of carbon foam, and is completely black. So any super black material and the kind of carbon foam that it's made out of is basically like a ceramic. And ceramics and really dark materials are really good at capturing heat and holding it. And so that kind of stuff,
and not decomposing under the heat, and
right.
Getting like heat weakened or anything like that.
Yeah, because it's already basically burned to its basic states, which in this case is elemental carbon. And so while that material would do really well at capturing heat, it did a really terrible job at liberating it. And so stainless steel does a really good job of letting it flow through and away. And apart from that, it has one ability that the carbon did not, which is that it let heat basically reflect off.
So like when you're talking about heat transfer, is a big problem in engineering. Usually you have three modes of heat transfer. It's conduction, radiation, and convection. Steel, even though like it will like doesn't perform well under heat, it's able to conduct heat into the body of the rocket better. And what it seems like is that they're looking at other videos and doing some research. It's like there's ways to basically do like a liquid cooling system near the surface to help radiate the heat through conduction away from the surface, so that it doesn't get to the temperatures where basic 300 series stainless steel doesn't like rupture or anything like that. And then the other thing he's talking about is that as the rocket goes into reentry, there's all this ram pressure, and it starts heating up due to friction.
So it basically, the front layers of air that the craft is encountering basically compresses under pressure.
Yeah.
And that I heard from some people get basically close to the state of plasma, that it's under such compression and such temperatures. And that plasma, if you're basically next to fire, produces a hell of a lot of radiation, like, but by light, right?
Yeah, so like anything when it heats up will like give off a glow based off of its temperature, right? So like we're glowing right now, you just can't see it in the spectrum that you're used to. So we're glowing in infrared radiation, right? But if you produce a flame, the reason that it glows is that it's just literally just hot gas that got so hot that its black body radiation got so high that it got into the visible spectrum. And so that's the same thing that's happening with the gas that's in front of like a re-entering vehicle. It's getting hot enough to where it's glowing like a flame would, or like he's saying like a plasma would. Same black body radiation. And what's interesting about that radiation is actually doesn't matter what material it is, they'll all glow at the same color, same temperature. So it's interesting. Sometimes like you'll see in movies they're like smelting like what they say is like steel, but it's actually much cheaper to smelt aluminum.
Oh, wow.
So actually when they do it in the movie, they're usually pouring hot aluminum into like molds and stuff, which you never make a sword into a mold, but you can tell that it's not actually steel because the glow is a lot more red than like white.
Wow.
So yeah, so that basically and I guess you could say it from like you can do like a post analysis on the RAM on that layer of plasma. Like you can just like give it like a black body curve, and then you can basically guess its temperature of that layer through those methods. So yeah, so that layer is producing a lot of radiation in that black body fingerprint. And basically what he's saying is that the stainless steel is a lot better at reflecting that radiation from that layer that is sustained in front of the vehicle.
So if there was any percentage of basically being able to make a material better at withstanding heat, if you could substantially take out like 14 to 20%, which is like once you're getting to the limits of a physical material to like process heat or to eject heat, etc., anything from 14 to 20% is huge. Normally when you're talking at the limits of a material, you're anything from like 0.5% to like 3% would be like amazing breakthroughs. So to be able to get rid of altogether like 14 to 20% of the heat that it encounters altogether by just reflecting it is a major improvement. And so that was one of the counterintuitive things that they found by choosing stainless steel over basically carbon foam, the carbon foam material that they use. Apart from that, the other major benefit is that a stainless steel hull will be far more reusable than the carbon foam, because one of the words that they were using to describe it is that it ablimates, or it basically ablates.
Yeah.
Well, basically it's that it pulverizes and it starts to peel off partially, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. So like one of the processes that we use in our rocket engines is that the thrust chamber, the bell, the shape of the bell that we use when we go launch rockets out in the Mojaves, we use what's called an ablative engine, right? So you have like three classical phases of matter. You have solid, liquid, gas, right? If you go from liquid to gas, it's vaporization. You go from solid to liquid, it's melting. But if you go from solid straight to gas, it's sublimation. And sublimating like an outer layer of like material is ablation. So we use an ablative engine, which is basically silica tape infused with what's called maybe I shouldn't say what it is, but essentially it's common knowledge. It's phenolic resin, and essentially it will heat up that material, put in all that energy into changing those phases, and then since that new gas form of the phenolic is being shot out the end of the rocket, that heat is being taken away. So you're moving heat away from the system. And that's essentially what these carbon ceramic materials are doing on the front of the rockets.
Yeah,
at the front of these rockets.
They're being slowly peeled off. And if you had basically anything that would be slowly peeling off and or would be imperfect for multiple launches, etc., that you would have to replace, you now have basically an object that's not perfect for another launch, etc., right after basically using. So it's another thing that would have to be reinstalled, replaced, that you would have to, wherever it is that it landed, have a way to remanufacture, and you would have to replace as well. So having it made out of stainless steel, you take off that factor as well of reducing the variables that you need when dealing with how much of an aircraft you're reusing. What else did I learn today about stainless steel? Oh yeah, this technology was actually kind of used before. I think back in the 60s, at least with this kind of a outer shell. But before, it didn't have what's now called buckle. It's like buckle resistant. It's not that exact word. They use a different word, but basically what it means is that for it to maintain its shape, there needs to be enough fuel inside of the chamber, enough pressure for it to basically stay standing. And so before the fuel would basically help keep the rocket keep its shape, kind of like a balloon.
Yeah, so like an example of that in like industry is like that's exactly what they do with Coke cans. So when you get a Coke can and it's brand new, like you try and squeeze it, it's very hard, right? That's kind of what you want for shipping. But then once you open it, you finish drinking it, all that pressure inside is left. So after you open it, you can kind of crush it and it'll deform like really easily. But once you get it like brand new, like since it's under pressure, all that compressive like load kind of gets redirected to like a tensile load on the walls of the Coke can. So that's
Perfect. Yeah, that was beautiful. So now basically the refinements to material technology, etc., or whatnot, this new material can basically stay standing with its limited shell, but it's still stainless steel, without the need of any fuel inside of the tanks whatsoever. So it's because of those, I guess, relatively recent advancements that they've been another reason why they've been able to use stainless steel now, which for a lot of reasons you would think now is like very counterintuitive compared to a carbon composite for the outer shell. And let's see, what else? Anything you like to add?
No, I just think it would be interesting. It seems like they're developing I don't know. I think the one they're gonna test right now is like a regular 300 series stainless steel, but I think I heard that they're developing like a brand new, like they have like a SpaceX has a whole metallurgist department, and they're developing brand new like kind of steel to basically help with these new modes of heat transfer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the other part that I heard, that they're importing the raw material, but I guess they are smelting and casting here in, I think it's in California as well.
Okay.
So that's a process that they're going to be doing basically in house. So yeah, that's also pretty cool. But it's not going to be just regular, like he said, 300 series. And what that means, very simply, is just the type of alloy that the steel is. It has a certain percentage of like carbon to iron and other trace minerals,
like chromium, different kinds of additives, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And yeah, that's basically everything that we've recently learned about why SpaceX is using stainless steel versus carbon composites and the carbon foam ceramics that we've grown to see and recognize in the space shuttles and even the Dragon capsules and other Soyuz personnel carriers, etc., whatnot, that go up to the space station.
Yeah, an interesting observation is that and also to summarize, it's kind of like interesting to think about. This is the exact same evolution that they took with rocket engines. So like what we're doing is we're using ablative engines, like we said, but we're working up to what's called a regenerative engine. So a regenerative engine is basically, instead of using an ablative material, you use a conductive material, and then you put cooling channels within the walls of the actual thrust chamber to help cool it. And the actual coolant you use is the fuels. So like all of Elon Musk's rockets are using, I don't know if all of them are, but what he's aiming to do is have them all use liquid methane and liquid oxygen. You can actually run liquid methane through like those cooling channels of your thrust chamber, partially heat it, so that when you put it into the actual thrust chamber, so you can have a combustion, it's already like kind of hot from the walls of the running through the walls of the thrust chamber. And so it's kind of like the same evolution. Like instead of using an ablative material, which in this case is like carbon-based ceramic, they're going back to like a conductive material and using cooling channels. So it's kind of interesting that that's like an evolution of like, it's starting to reveal something about
what their thought process is,
yeah,
and what their what kind of engineers that they have, and how they happen to be recycling in a way ideas, basically for new applications, which is pretty cool. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. This is our debut co-podcast. I'm gonna be putting it up on the Audible only podcast, and I'll break this up since it's under 30 minutes. I think I can put it up on Instagram too, so
that's cool.
You'll be able to see us there as well. If you guys have any questions about a ton of the words that we use, that's perfectly fine. We're all learning here all the time, and if you guys have any questions, we'll be more than happy to explain them, any of the words that we use, the concepts, etc. But yeah, give us a like, follow, subscribe, etc. On your medium of choice, and we'll catch us next time. So until then.
Oh yeah, and if you want to like fact check us on anything, like feel free. Like we're not experts. Well, we try and do our research, but we're not experts on the matter.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it if you
if you have any corrective material, or if you guys want to cite any papers as well, we're more than open to learning.
Yeah, and maybe we'll make you famous. We'll put you in the next video, and
we'll give you guys
like
a shout
say
out.
what those corrections were.
Yeah. We'll do our best.
Very important.
So we're gonna try and do this like maybe once a week, hopefully on Sundays, or maybe we'll change the days around. We'll see. But till next time, guys. See you guys later. I'm gonna go turn it off now. La 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 la. All right, bye guys.
Bye.